There is a shift from traditional credential-based recruitment towards a skills-based approach. So with the technological progress and the changing needs of businesses, organizations are focusing on hiring individuals based on core competencies and adaptability. And this not only helps to bridge the skills gap, but also promoting diversity by opening doors to candidates without traditional educational background.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Recruiting Revolution Season 3. Today we are joined by Margaret Bush from London. With over 19 years of recruitment experience, Margaret has sourced talent for top giants, global giants to startups. She's currently working as principal recruiter at Mixmax. Margaret has coached thousands of job seekers to secure roles at Fortune 100 and 500 companies and featured in Forbes and recognized as a LinkedIn top voice. Welcome to the podcast, Margaret. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Nidhi. Happy to be here.
Great. Margaret, to start off, can you help us out with your amazing journey so far in the industry?
Sure. So just very quickly, I've been working in the talent acquisition space for close to 20 years. I think it's 19 years right now. And as you mentioned, I've recruited for tech companies of different sizes. I recruited for companies like Cisco and Microsoft and VMware and Expedia, for 3 B2B SaaS companies, including my current company, Mixmax, and also for mid-sized organizations in MarTech and Upskilling and FinTech. During that time, I've recruited very internationally and across all different functions, all the corporate and technical positions. I'm currently mostly doing engineering and product recruitment in Europe and Latin America. And I've also recruited very internationally. I think I've recruited in every country in Europe, definitely quite a bit in the US, in Canada, in Latin America, and a little bit in Africa, and a little bit in Asia. So I have very international experience. And as an interview coach, I've done interview coaching since 2006. And I worked with, thousands of people to help them get hired, promoted, and paid more. So I typically work with job seekers one-to-one to help them get the job that they want, to help them prepare for an interview, but I also do some group coaching sessions. So yeah, just really happy to be here. Thank you again for the invitation.
Yeah, that is so amazing. You mentioned career coaching. So it's been like more than 18 years now that you've been into career coaching. So what inspired you to start like career coaching, like back then actually?
Well, that I actually started way before I actually became a qualified coach. So that kind of happened by accident. I was looking for something I could do on a part-time basis that I would enjoy and that I could do on top of my recruitment role. But the idea actually didn't come to me until a friend of a friend told me about basically a friend of a friend approached me and said, can you help my colleague? He got made redundant a few months ago and he can't find a job. He's been looking for 8 months. So I said, yeah, sure, no problem. So I had a chat with this guy and we did, a session. He started getting second interviews with some really good companies. We did another session. He got the job and then he's been getting every job since then. So I'm like, okay, well, there has to be a market for that. So I was pretty busy in my day job. So like one Sunday, I did some research. There weren't as many interview coaches as there are right now. Another Sunday, I created the content for the website and I created a very simple website just from templates. Obviously, it's evolved since then. And then a friend helped me with Google Ads and I had my first 2 clients in my first week. So and obviously it's grown from there. But that's how it started, a little bit by accident.
Okay. And also about like Mixmax, can you tell us more about your journey in Mixmax, like how you started the organization?
Oh, so my boss from Typeform, my previous company, joined Mixmax, and he encouraged me to join the company. So that's basically how I've heard about Mixmax. Mixmax is a SaaS company. We have a sales engagement platform that's mostly used by revenue generating teams. So Mixmax is built on top of Gmail, but now also on top of Outlook, and basically it enables customers to track emails accurately. You can set up meetings very quickly. You can save time with email templates, schedule email sequences, and it's mostly about automating different actions that typically salespeople take. So that these are typically our clients, salespeople, account managers, recruiters as well. And my role at Mixmax is really hiring for all the different positions we have available, which right now it is mostly in engineering and in product. And we primarily recruit in Europe and also in Brazil and Argentina. That's where our engineering teams are based.
Got it, got it. Also, like in the past few years, because you've been in the industry for such a long time, you must have seen like a lot of changes happening in the talent space, like the recruitment space. What do you think, like the changes that you have encountered, in your journey so far?
Well, I think a lot of changes. I mean, the main one really that happened with COVID is the remote work and globalization. So the shift towards remote and hybrid work has really removed geographical barriers, allowing companies such as Mixmax really to tap into a global talent pool. We hire, as I mentioned, anywhere. I mean, not completely anywhere because it has to be the right time zone, but we can hire contractors and typically anywhere in Europe or in Latin America. So on one hand, it's amazing because we have access to much larger talent pool. But on the other hand, this also intensified competition for talent, pressure, placing even more pressure on talent acquisition teams to attract and retain the right candidates. So that's definitely number one. I would also say technology and AI, that's a massive change. The digitization of work and the adoption of AI are definitely revolutionizing talent acquisition. And while AI maybe threatens some roles, it's also creating new ones that require deep understanding of technology. And also AI-powered tools are automating repetitive tasks like, resume screening or just allowing recruiters to focus more on relationship building and strategy. So there are definitely a lot of benefits to that as well. And there's a lot of talk about skills-based hiring. So there is a shift from traditional credential-based recruitment towards a skills-based approach. So with the technological progress and the changing needs of businesses, organizations are focusing on hiring individuals based on core competencies and adaptability. And this not only helps to bridge the skills gap, but also promoting diversity by opening doors to candidates without traditional educational background. I mean, that's obviously still a work in progress, not the case for all the different organizations. But yeah, and I think, the big challenge right now for a lot of leaders is like, how do we ensure that our workforce remains agile and actually equipped for all of these changes? So I think, traditional roles evolve and, new ones emerge. So reskilling and upskilling, I think, will be like really, really important. As I mentioned, AI and machine learning and automation and AI in the workplace and, different kind of emerging skills and competencies. And for example, there is a growing demand for skills such as data literacy and digital marketing and proficiency in AI and cybersecurity. And of course, equally, soft skills are equally important. So yeah, there are a lot of changes and there's loads of strategies that we could consider within organizations in terms of maybe conducting skills gaps analysis and creating personalizing learning paths and building a learning culture and also leveraging technology for learning. So there's a lot going on for sure.
Yeah, that is so true. Also, you mentioned like a pandemic and COVID that, pushed the remote working. But, at that time, the recruitment, when we talk about recruitment, it was a tough, place for recruiters as well and job seekers as well. So, what do you think is the current state of the talent market and the recruitment market right now? Has it like changed for the better?
Yeah, I think the recruitment market will be different in different countries, in different sectors. So I think I can give you generic advice because tech market will be different to, I imagine, I don't know, healthcare market, right? Or marketing teaching is obviously very different. But what I see in tech is definitely increasing competition for talent. So yeah, I think competition for top talent is fierce and many organizations are shifting to skills-based hiring, which can apparently increase the talent pool by a factor of 10. And companies are also investing in reskilling and upskilling existing employees to fill the gaps. I guess especially the large organizations. Not every company has any budget for that. I also think there's a lot of economic caution right now. So in some sectors, economic instability has led to a more cautious hiring strategy. So rather than aggressively expanding the workforce, many companies are more focusing on internal mobility or redeploying existing talent to meet shifting demands. So, even in some of the big, I have some friends working for some of the big tech companies, and they don't have many new positions open. They have backfills and, well, I guess they have some new positions open, but there's a lot less. There's a lot of less recruitment than they maybe had a couple of years ago. And another thing is this, remote and flexible work and the demand for flexible work arrangements that really remains very strong. So companies that can offer remote or hybrid, but especially remote work, are more attractive to candidates. There are candidates I speak to, and the only reason they're talking to me is because, the only reason they're looking is because the company wants them to go back a few times a week. So that trend shows no sign of slowing down.
Yeah, that is true. Also you mentioned AI, and we have to talk about this is the major change that has happened, like for any industry, be it recruitment or IT or in all the spaces. So do you think, like especially for recruitment space, like do you believe that AI enhances the efficiency for recruiters, or do they like pose some challenges as well? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Both. I would say both. So on one hand, AI would be great. So even things like job descriptions. If you struggle with a job description, ChatGPT can make your current job descriptions much better. So there's a lot of like really repetitive tasks. So automation in general, AI, that kind of automation. So AI tools are really great for automating repetitive tasks, such as scheduling interviews. Possibly resume screening. I'm not using AI to screen resumes, but I know there are tools that can do that. Generating job descriptions or improving current job descriptions. These frees up recruiters to focus on more strategic and human-centric activities like relationship building and candidate engagement. AI-driven insights, so AI is also being used for candidate matching, evaluating not just skills, but potential fit with company culture. So while this speeds up the hiring process, it's important to maintain human oversight to ensure that the bias doesn't seep into AI-based decision-making process, because I think it's still also very important that you can't just deal with an AI as a candidate. Like, you definitely need that human touch. But however, while AI is definitely a powerful tool, it's just not a perfect substitute for human judgment. So, for example, AI may overlook non-traditional candidates or fail to identify soft skills and cultural fit. So therefore, that balanced approach where AI enhances the recruitment process but doesn't replace human involvement is ideal. And another thing, there are tools that allow candidates to apply for multiple jobs at one click. I think it's such a bad idea. I think a lot of recruiters complain that they can't just cope with the volume of applications because they're getting huge amounts of unqualified candidates, and they still have to go through them, right? Just to see who's qualified, who's not qualified. So I think on the one hand, AI is great. Like, even as a candidate, it can help you with your resume. It can help you with a cover letter, but like, you can't just like copy and paste with AI. I think that's like another thing that people sometimes don't realize. If you are a recruiter, if you're looking at a lot of resumes on a day-to-day basis, you can really tell which resume has been AI generated. So, for example, ChatGPT loves words like spearheaded. Does anyone actually use that word in real life? Maybe some people do, but ChatGPT loves that. So the ChatGPT loves notable achievements. When I see that on the resume or the LinkedIn profile, I know it's been done by ChatGPT. So I think, use these tools because they can be amazing, but at the same time, you want to use your own judgment and your own wording. So that's more from a job seeker's perspective. But yeah, for recruiters, absolutely. I do think there's there is definitely a lot of value in various AI tools.
So, how do you use AI in your day-to-day work?
I don't use it for resume screening. I use it a little bit in sourcing, in recruitment. So there are different like AI kind of, for example, when I send a message to the candidate, to be honest, I have my templates in general, but you have AI capability in LinkedIn Recruiter, which is the tool that recruiters use to find candidates. Okay. There are like AI tools that can help you to write a more personalized message. There are AI tools that can help you find candidates similar to the one that you found. So I do use AI for that. AI could be great in terms of that's sometimes communication, so job descriptions. Like, let's say to be honest, most of our job descriptions are done, but when maybe there's a new job description and we actually haven't had a similar job description before, AI could be great in just improving the current job description, So I kind of mostly use AI for that. And of course, more like for coaching clients, but help with, how can you potentially tailor your resume summary section to this specific job, so that's what I would do it more for my coaching clients rather than in recruitment. So yeah, and actually another AI, like note taking from job interviews. So we have like AI tool that can actually do the transcript of the interview, which is a huge time saver. I still make my own notes, but we also have like a transcript that's that's been done by AI, prepared by AI. So all of that is a huge time saver.
Yeah, that is true, and that's great actually. Also, with the rise of social media platforms, like we are seeing like LinkedIn has like a great like applications, and it's great for hiring and connect with people and good in your industry only. So how do you perceive the importance of building and maintaining relationships in your respective industry? Like how social media has changed the game for networking.
Yeah, I mean, it's hugely important to build those relationships, even if you're not looking for work right now. But, you will be looking at for a job at some stage. So whether you're looking for a job or not, firstly, platforms like LinkedIn made the networking a lot easier because you have access to all of these over 1 billion people on LinkedIn right now. And I think, the more you can leverage your network, the more it can help your job security, basically. So for senior job seekers, especially those in tech, that's obviously where I work, networking really is the key to unlocking those different career opportunities. So there will be, there's a talk about the hidden job market, so roles that are filled without being advertised. And that's, at a really senior level, that's actually pretty, I think, a lot of these roles will actually not necessarily be advertised because typically the hiring manager will, ask for any kind of internal recommendations. And yeah, if they can't find anyone, then the job will be advertised, but there will be jobs that are definitely not advertised. So building and leveraging your professional network is definitely more important than ever. And also creating a strong personal brand ensures that you remain visible to the right people and opportunities, even if you are not actively looking, for a new role. And a lot of these also senior positions are filled through personal recommendations, internal referrals, network of trusted contacts. And hiring managers are much more likely to rely on the recommendations for high-level roles because these candidates come with a certain level of credibility and trustworthiness that has been vetted by someone in their circle, So should I maybe give some tips on how someone can tap into that hidden job market?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you are like a senior job seeker, just like a few quick tips. So firstly, reconnect with your existing network. So you ask about networking, don't wait until you're actively job hunting to reach out to your contacts. So you ideally want to maintain relationships with former colleagues and managers by just periodically check in, even a simple message like, hi, Margaret, I hope you're doing well. I've been following the work you're doing at, X company. I would love to catch up sometime. Just that will keep you on top of mind. So building these connections before you need them, before you need something from them, ensures that your outreach feels more authentic when you actually need that. Again, in terms of networking, attending industry events and conferences, or webinars, that's a great way to stay connected with influencers and peers. So these events often end up in some informal conversations, and that can also help you uncover some unadvertised opportunities. Plus, you stay informed about the current trends, which is crucial for senior roles in particular. In terms of networking, again, so joining relevant professional groups and forums. So sometimes senior levels are discussed in private groups or LinkedIn forums or industry-specific communities before they go public. So when you actively participate in those groups, you not only showcase your expertise, but you also stay informed about upcoming openings, requesting, so again, networking, requesting informational interviews or coffee chats, that could be virtual or in person. That's also another strategic way of building relationships. So typically not asking for a job directly. In fact, you should not be asking a complete stranger for a job directly, but it's more about just getting insight into potential upcoming opportunities or what is it like to work for a company that really interests you. So So if you're interested in a specific company, you could always approach someone and just say that you're really interested in the innovative work they're doing, and maybe you would like to hear a bit more about the perspective on the direction of the industry. And another thing that's important in networking is be a resource to your network, share interesting, basically provide value before asking for anything in return, so share interesting articles or insights, or even connect people in your network who might benefit from knowing each other. So when you are seen as that valuable resource, you will naturally attract opportunities.
Yeah, that is so great. Also, like we're coming to our end of the podcast, like the very last question. So, what do you think, like the recruitment team or the TA team or the future looks like according to you in the past, in the future of 5 years, say?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I think that the future of TA teams is increasingly strategic and data driven, with focus on agility and adaptability. So I talked earlier about that skills-based focus. So the TA teams in the future, I think, will prioritize skills-based hiring, assessing candidates on their ability to adapt and thrive in rapidly changing environments. So this approach will definitely expand the talent pool and promote diversity as well. I think data and AI-driven decision-making as well. So the TA leaders will leverage AI and data analytics to make more informed hiring decisions. And I think the data will guide every aspect of the recruitment process, from sourcing to candidate experience to salary benchmarking as well. So the use of talent intelligence will help TA teams provide insights that directly influence business strategy. I'm also hoping that it will help to enhance candidate experience. There are obviously companies that really care about candidate experience. I would say that ours is one of them, but you also see so many posts on LinkedIn from job seekers who have been ghosted despite following up with a company, which is inexcusable. So I'm hoping that as the competition for talent intensifies, the candidate experience will become a major focus. So TA teams will hopefully ensure that the candidates receive timely feedback and communication throughout the process, reducing abandonment rates and also improving employer branding. And I'm also hoping that, and again, that's the case in some organizations already, that rather than being viewed as purely transactional, the TA team will be seen as a strategic partner, working closely with the leadership to align hiring strategies with long-term business goals. So that includes collaborating with HR to ensure a seamless transition from candidate to an employee. So, building that strong talent pool, and just all of that actually, all of that would be really important. The skills-based focus, the data and AI-driven decision making, enhanced candidate experience, and that strategic partnership.
Yeah, that is great. Also, you mentioned, candidate experience. So, what are some of the tips that you personally use to make sure that, the candidate experience is smooth till, onboarding, of course. So, what are your tips in candidate experience?
It just keeping communicating. That's really all it is. Telling the candidates when they're gonna get updated. Even if you don't have an update, if you promise you're gonna come back to them by Friday, come back to them by Friday, even just to say that you haven't got an update. Don't keep people waiting. Provide feedback. I think that's very important. So many organizations don't provide any feedback because I think they're just too lazy or don't want to get sued or whatever. But I always provide feedback. I will always provide some pros and cons. And candidates love it, even if they don't get the role, at least they know why they didn't get the role, So if I think of these thousands of candidates I spoke to, I maybe had a couple of candidates in my 19 years in recruitment who just didn't like the feedback, or they were upset or, offended or whatever. Most people, they actually really appreciate the feedback. At least they understand why, why they didn't get hired. So I think communication, providing feedback, really just keeping people updated. And things, I know that sometimes things can slip through the cracks. So I think it's, if you as a candidate haven't heard from the recruiter, always follow up, because sometimes things will get missed. And the delays will sometimes happen, but just in general, keeping people updated, I think it's very, very important.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Margaret, that comes to the end of our podcast. That concludes our podcast. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. So lovely having you here.
Thank you so much for having me.